Guys, welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're reacting to KSI's official retiring from boxing. It's by Christian HD. Channel link in the description, original link in the description. Grab a Mars bar. It should be a great one. Action.
Today is a momentous day for YouTube boxing. The two pioneers of the industry, KSI and Logan Paul, have today announced their official retirement from the sport.
Excuse me, I love your car. What do you do for a living?
Jesus Christ. Well, we used to be boxers, but we're retired.
Yeah. Retired?
Yeah.
Okay, what happened?
I fought Floyd Mayweather, but he never paid me.
Oh.
So now we just distribute beverages.
Oh, there we go, man.
You're not going to see KSI or Logan Paul step back in the ring with anybody. They're pretty much retiring from boxing. They're moving to what seems to be an era, new era starting for YouTube, which is like mainstream big business building. As we've seen with KSI and Logan Paul launching Prime in the last couple of days, which today sold out in 3 hours. Their entire online stock across the entirety of the US sold out within 3 hours, and their company is valued between 150 million and 200 million dollars. And this company is like 6 months old. If this doesn't illustrate to you the power of influencer marketing and the power of these titans of the social media world making good businesses and being able to sell them on, then I don't know what will. Because if you think about it, this is the last big example in the last 2 years of a major business being built by two major influencers. Yes, we've had merch in the past. Yes, we've had clothes. You know, we've had membership platforms. But this is the first true massive company that is going to come from YouTube. We've had Maverick Clothing, which as far as we know has been certainly one of the biggest, if not the biggest, merch brand of all time in terms of YouTube money. Like there were 3 days back in 2017 where Logan Paul sold $3 million worth of shirts, hoodies, hats, whatever. And more recently we've seen beverages become something like XIX vodka, for example. We've had a couple of TikTokers make like an what do they call it? Ant-energy drink or something like that. If you went up and asked anybody on the street, yeah, hey pal, Logan Paul and KSI, they're making a drinks company together. Do you think it will do well? Oh yeah, man, what the hell? They'll do crazy well. And I think this really marks quite a momentous occasion because they announced in this TikTok video that they are going to be retiring from boxing. They're not going to turn back up in YouTube boxing. As Logan Paul added, he hasn't been played by Floyd Mayweather, which is quite a big thing, obviously, because he literally stepped in the ring with one of the greatest boxers of all time, risking his health massively, and he hasn't even been paid. So if you're not going to be paid what you're owed, and in that case for Logan it's like tens of millions of dollars, then there's not a lot of point. Unless you're crazy passionate about it and you're going to accept the risks for no money, then nobody in their right mind would do that. Now that moves on quite swiftly to my second point. I can quite understand why they're retiring, and this is something that's sort of forgotten a little bit, it seems like, with YouTube boxing, the negative effects of doing boxing for an extended period of time and taking a lot of fights, which is the physical and mental effects that happen after a couple of years of doing it. We are starting to see this. The first person in YouTube boxing to really start to see this is Jake Paul, who we know has been taking it like a Trojan horse, like literally 4 fights in the last 14 months or whatever. We know that Jake Paul is now starting to report symptoms such as a memory loss and losing track in a sentence, stuff like that, at the age of 24, which is quite worrying considering he's only been doing it for about 3 years. And I think this is where KSI and Logan Paul will be motivated to stop, because we see with this, KSI, he hasn't boxed in over 2 years. Logan Paul, his last fight was obviously the Floyd Mayweather fight, but prior to that, it was the KSI fight back in November of 2019. Now, we have had the pandemic in the middle. However, we have seen people like Jake Paul with the Triller events come around from it and actually, go into boxing full blast, as we've seen him do. We clearly see a little more reluctance for KSI and Logan Paul to step back in the ring, and this is definitely an official confirmation pretty much from their mouths that they're not going to be going back into boxing. And really, with the case of KSI, really any Tom, Dick and Harry could say that to you. If you really thought about it for a second, if you took off the tinfoil hat, if you calm down a little bit, if you remember the Earth is a sphere, and you remember Australia is real, and you just think for a second, okay, has KSI boxed in the last 2 years? No. Have we seen any footage in the last 2 years?
No.
No. Has he really said he's going to fight in the next 2 years? No. Has he even had, any plans for a fight? You get my point. It's a no. KSI, we've known for pretty much the last year that he's most likely not going to be stepping back into the ring. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I want to see KSI back in the ring. If it looks like a duck, it swims like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a damn duck. So, most likely we weren't going to see KSI step back in the ring anyway, but this is pretty much the official confirmation from Logan Paul, more specifically, that he's not going to come back in the ring. And again, it does raise a pretty good point of, like, if you fought Floyd Mayweather, aka one of the best boxers of all time, and some would argue the best boxer of all time, I personally disagree, but some would say that. You know, who does he go on to fight next? Realistically, come on. If he's fought the greatest of all time, you can't really then go down to fight, like, go back to YouTube boxing. It doesn't really work like that. And does he really want to go into professional boxing, like, actual fighting proper boxers? Does he want to go down his brother's route? Probably not. We haven't seen much motivation from him to do so. The only person who's really going to continue this for the time being is the lower level YouTube boxers, TikTok boxers, whatever, and pretty much Jake Paul, who's steaming ahead at full pace. The target is set, and he's just going full blast towards it. All the rockets are launching to the moon for Jake Paul, you know, in terms of boxing. He's throwing the kitchen sink at it, basically, is what I'm saying. He's going absolute full blast. He's the only guy who's going to continue it, but even he is starting to consider how long he's going to stay in this for. He said in his interview with Graham Bensinger that he's going to stay in it for maybe 10 fights, then called off.
The goal is to get to 10-0, maybe grab a world championship belt in the last fight there, and just retire with the belt and ride off into the sunset.
10
so
fights
he's 5-0
and
at the
get a belt,
moment.
surely
So,
not.
you know, he's only got 5 fights left, and he wants the last fight to be a title fight, which, good luck to the guy. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but to go, you know, from 5 fights to go from Tyron Woodley to, like, the world champion, that's quite a
Next fight would have to
feat.
be
So whether he'll do it or
mental.
not, we'll have to wait and see.
If he
But
comes out and fights
I really do think
real
this is kind of
boxer
interesting to see
or-
with KSI and Logan Paul.
No,
Because as I
I'm
said,
gonna
this
say
is quite a
he's
momentous
fat real
occasion.
boxer.
Not only
He's
because
gonna
for
watch
YouTube boxing, in the sense of 2 of the titans, the pioneers, arguably, have retired. You know, 2 people to really bring it into the limelight. KSI versus Logan Paul 1, and KSI versus Logan Paul 2, but especially the first one. It was a really big thing to introduce boxing. You know, some would argue the KSI versus Joe Weller fight, but the KSI versus Logan Paul was
would argue
international.
Joe
You
Weller
ask
versus
any
Theo
Donny
Baker.
in any country in the world, and they would know what. You ask the people in the Himalayas, the people climbing Mount Everest that day, and they would know. Yeah, KSI versus Logan Paul. I'm gonna. As soon as I get down from the mountain, I'm gonna check what's up with that. You know, that like. It was such a momentous day, but it's not only momentous for that, it's also a pinnacle, because it's also a turning point, because this is the first major business that's being launched by some major social media influencers, you know, teaming up together to launch what is literally going to be a titan brand. Like, you know, their goal is to rival the likes of Red Bull, Monster Energy, you know, Gatorade, companies like that. So, you know, and whether they're going to get to do it or not, I don't know, but they're certainly going to make impact. They sold out Prime Energy. Prime Hydration sold out within 3 hours today of all online stock, so you can't buy it at the moment because they've sold out. The company is valued between $150 and $200 million. The clear direction for this is up, and I don't think this is going to be the end of it. I think this is the first major brand I'm talking about, the first big hitter, but potentially the first future billion-dollar influencer company that is going to come into the mainstream. Because, you know, we've seen merch be done in the past, we've seen clothing, that's been done out the wazoo. Even drinks is like a thing that started in 2021. I know a couple of people did it before then, but drinks was the first, was the 2021 thing to come into the limelight. We had some TikTokers launch Ant Energy. Obviously, we have the Simon launch XIX vodka. A couple of others have done a couple of other drinks. G Fuel has been a big sponsor, but that wasn't started by an influencer. But it seems like this is going to be the first massive beverage product that is going to be a genuine widespread product that's going to end up in stores, in your local shop, wherever the hell you live. It's going to be in your local shop, Prime Hydration. And that is the first company that may end up being the first billion-dollar company owned by social media influencers. So, you know, it seems like it's very much art. And also, you know, if KSI and Logan Paul are thinking, if I continue in boxing, which has a lot of negative physical health effects, a lot of negative mental health effects in terms of the functioning of my brain, would I really want to do that when I have all these resources that I can use to make money, and I can start, you know, energy drink companies in 6 months, and it be valued at $200 million with my best mate from the UK or the US? Like, you know, you gotta weigh it up and go, well, yeah, I would actually just do the beverage company. I wouldn't bother with the boxing. And that's really what we're going to see. Because obviously, as we know, boxing has a lot of negative effects, especially even doing it after a couple of years. And if you're doing heavy sparring every day, or almost every day, or doing a lot of camps, as we've seen Jake Paul done, for example, you know, it does have very negative effects pretty quickly. It doesn't take 10 years to get these effects. Even Jake Paul now is starting to experience some of them. He's starting to experience memory loss. He's reportedly starting to forget like things that he should know, like things on a shopping list, for example, at the age of 24, which is, you know, kind of alarming. So I think this is where KSI and Logan Paul are coming from. They're weighing it up, especially Logan Paul having not been played from the Floyd Mayweather fight, and they're going, you know what, I'm done with the boxing. It was an era, it was a time in my life, but KSI hasn't boxed in over 2 years. Logan Paul hasn't been paid for the Floyd Mayweather fight, and prior to that hadn't boxed in 18 months or so. They're hanging up the gloves. It's a sad day. It's a sad day. I might cry, but it is what it is. Thank you very much for watching. Join the damn Discord if you haven't already been on it. For more news, for more influence in boxing news, for more influence in news in general. Talk to some people. Talk about whatever you want. There's plenty of channels on there. You can talk about whatever you want. Follow my damn Instagram. We're almost at 250 followers, so go follow that. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have a glorious day, despite this. Well, no, it's not really sad. It's just sort of an end of an era. It's a sad end of an era. I remember watching the KSI vs Logan Paul 1 fight. What led me to end up starting doing commentary 2-3 years later. But no, I remember that day like the back of my hand. It's a sad day. It's a sad day for everyone. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.